Shalom, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash, double honors unto our apostles and elders, great millstone that rule well, and much peace and blessing to the elect. It's going to be a quick lesson through the spirit, just a spiritual vent, if you will. Not necessarily a vent, but something that was on my spirit, and basically just chill out and let the Lord do his thing. Okay, talking to myself first, chill out, let the Lord do his thing. And what I mean by that is we are mortal men. Talking to the brothers out there that's sincere about this truth, that's pushing this truth. Okay, as well as you sincere sisters out there, you few sisters out there, right? We're just mortals, okay? We're in the flesh. Okay, we do say all the time that we do have a form of spiritual power, being in this truth, which is true, but we don't have that true power yet. Lord, we'll get it sooner rather than later, but as of right now, and even then, we can only do what the Lord allow. As of right now, we really don't have no power. There's no might in our hand. Okay, and there's gonna come situations, different circumstances, to where you really won't be able to do anything. Okay, a lot of things, most things are really out of our control. Okay, and there's a big problem that a lot of people in the world have, especially people that may be an owl. I'm walking down the street. I wish I can hold on, let me see if I could record this. Nah, man, hold on, I gotta pause this. See if I can take a picture. If y'all brothers can see this, this is a spirit, man. An owl right in front of me. See it turn their head and flew away. Man, I don't know if y'all saw that. Wow. You don't see owls every day down here. But yeah, it's a problem a lot of people have that actually have a lot of power, especially Esau, Edom, these top Fortune 500 CEOs, top executives of these different multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar corporations, and even those lower down, right? That so-called have power. Even on a lower level, you got judges, you got police officers, right? People that think they have some sort of power in this world, and they're so used to having their way, right? And they get into a situation where their money or their position can't really do anything for them, right? And they end up bugging out on a situation like that, having to end up bugging out, being hasty. They end up losing. They may end up committing suicide a lot of the time, right? That's because they don't have experience with letting go and letting God, right? Especially if they're a heathen, right? But those of us that acknowledge the power of the Most High, acknowledge that the Lord is in control, controls all things, and there's really no might in our hand when certain situations arise and come about. We have to practice and exercise, get better at letting the Most High do what he do, letting go. All right, we have to practice the art of letting go. Right, and For you brothers out there, a few sisters out there that are parents, that have children, that's something that kind of you learn. It's something that helps you learn that, okay? Especially if you have to send your children somewhere, like if your children is in front of you at the very moment, you can guard them, you can protect them. If something happen, you can pull them away, you can hide them, whatever, But sometimes you have to send them certain places, and you're not going to be around them to always guard them, shelter them, And in a situation like that, that's a good example of this lesson. And you brothers and sisters out there, that's parents, you understand what I'm talking about, right? And in a situation like that, you just gotta pray. You just gotta pray and hope in the Lord, and the Lord, hope in the Lord for Him to do what He do. And at the end of the day, whatever happens. We have to be totally at peace with that. And again, that's just an example of what I'm talking about. There's many other situations, examples, outcomes that this message can apply to. Okay? And it's, again, going into the times that we're coming into, all hell breaking loose, we're gonna really need that art down pat. We're gonna need that skill totally sharpened in that day, because again, unless the Lord give you high level spiritual power, we're gonna be put in situations where you don't have no might, man. That's why you got all these people prepping guns and prepping food and got a bunker and all this shit, thinking that they in control of their life. Oh, it made me think of Final Destination, right? The Final Destination, I believe it was part 2, where you had the Jake, the black dude, so-called black dude, right? And basically once he, of course you had the main character trying to warn everybody that basically it's a spirit going around, and there's an actual order for people to die, and basically just to watch out, right? And that movie's a good example of this. But you had the Jay, he was like, no, I'm in control of my destiny. And he started bugging out. He tried to take the gun and shoot himself, because the fear of the unknown, of knowing, okay, am I gonna die this way? Am I gonna die that way? Right? He tried to take it in his own hands. Right? He tried to force the hand of the Lord, basically, and tried to kill himself. But the gun, he had a revolver, which revolver's not supposed to jam, basically, right? If I'm not mistaken, a revolver is not really supposed to jam like that. But he was pulling the trigger, and the revolver was the pin was firing, but the bullets wouldn't fire, right? And then he opened up the revolver, and it was fully loaded, right? And that's when he saw, like, that's when he realized that he's not in he's not in control of his own destiny, right? So that's an example of people bugging out that can't practice this art, this skill that we're speaking of. Okay? But again, those of us that have this truth, we're at peace knowing this, right? And this is another good example in the scriptures right here. This is we all familiar with this account in the scripture, right? This is 2 Samuel 24. This is after King David numbered Israel, right? So the Most High sent, which, that was a major sin King David committed. That's because the Lord said Israel is without number, right? So basically King David trying to one up, which the scripture say Satan got on him to do so, But so after that, the Lord sent the prophet Gad to rebuke him and basically to ask him which judgment. The Lord, the Lord gave him 3 judgments and said, pick one, right? Which even then, that showed you the Lord really loved King David, because how many times in the scriptures can you read about the Lord ask somebody what judgment they want, right? But this is 2 Samuel 24 and verse 12. I started 11. For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus saith Yahweh, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee. So Gad came to David and told him and said unto him, Shall 7 years of famine come unto thee in thy land? Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies while they pursue thee? Or that there be 3 days pestilence in thy land? Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. Okay, so there you go. The Lord gave him 3 options right there. All right, and this is the key point, verse 14. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of Yahweh, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. So King David understood this art. He understood this skill, this practice that we're speaking about in this lesson. Okay, he said, let me fall into the hand of the Lord and not into the hands of man. Okay, because if he was to choose the one to let my enemies pursue me for 3 months, you falling into the hand of your enemies, right? Now, who's to say if your enemies catch you, what they gonna do to you? You know what I'm saying? King David said, I'd rather take the pestilence, because that's more spiritual. It's not like people chasing you down and they may catch you and who knows what they would do, right? He said, I'll fall into the hands of the Lord. I take the pestilence, because and then the Lord it's more. The Lord is always in control, but that's totally spiritual, which we know the story. It was a death angel the Lord sent, right? So the point I'm making is King David said he'd rather fall into the hands of the Lord. I'd rather let go and let God give me the pestilence, and the Most High drop who he want to drop, and that be it, right? Which that was, even in that was a wise decision. Even in his sin, he applied prudence. Even in his when it was time for him to get judged for his wickedness, he still applied prudence, showing you the mindset King David had. That's why the scriptures say he was a man after the Most High's own heart. Okay, even when he went off, the scripture said, righteous man falleth 7 times. So it's not so much as how you fall, but more so how you get back up. How do you deal after you sin, after the judgment comes? What do you do next is what really counts the most. Okay. So we know the story, we know what happened, and I believe that's a good example, because again, like a perfect example of that is this whole fiasco that happened in 2020. You had all these people going berserk over a cough. People wearing 2-3 masks in the car by themselves with the windows up. You know what I'm saying? People running to take this experimental potion, right? They rather fall into the hands of man. And what happened to the people that took that juice? A lot of them dropped dead. A lot of them dropped dead. A lot of them got irreversible medical conditions, right? A lot of them is gonna drop dead. They get ticking time bomb, right? And it's irreversible what they did, because they chose to fall into the hands of Fauci instead of falling into the hands of the Lord. See, brothers that was in the truth. You even had guys in Israel taking the juice. But anyway, that's another topic. But brothers, starting with our apostles and elders, brothers in the right spirit, you ain't see us walking around with no mask unless we had to go into a store or somewhere where they force, okay, you got to play the game to get in, right? But you ain't see no brothers just wearing masks because they scared. Or damn sure ain't running to get no juice. Okay? That's the spirit that I had, because I only really speak for myself. Shit, I'm like, shit, if this shit is real, the Lord gonna give it to who he want to give it to. So ain't no point in wearing no mask. Ain't no point, damn sure ain't no point in getting no juice. Right? That's an example. Another example of falling into the hands of the Lord. Let go and let God, right? And that's the same thing that would happen. It was a pestilence we read right now. Because it can manifest as people getting sick and the virus going around or whatever. But we understand that these things are spiritual first. It's the death angel behind the scenes that's getting on people to make them die from a virus or whatever. Right? And I'll end off on this one, right? Right? This is 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time. Right? So we got to humble ourselves in the Most High, under the mighty hand of the Most High. Right? So we got to fall into his hand in the righteous sense. Okay? In the good sense, meaning you just gonna, like how these niggas in the world say, let JC take the wheel. You gotta let Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai take the wheel. Okay? That's trust. That show you truly trust in the Lord. Right? Verse 7, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. You see that? So you literally gotta let the Lord take the wheel. You gotta understand that he knows all, he sees all, he's more mightier than us. He has all the might. There's no one mightier than him. Okay? You gotta let the Lord fight your battles. You gotta let the Lord go in control, man. Most things we have no control over. And that brings peace, that brings comfort, that brings faith, that brings trust in the Lord. Alright? So, again, that's just something I wanted to speak on. Lord, it was edifying. With that, I'm going to say shalom.